Today I'm going to be showing y'all how to go from a fishbone to a Vasto Lorde within 1 hour. This was a lot easier for me than I thought it would be, but you could also probably argue that I got very lucky. Regardless, I'm going to provide to y'all a bunch of tips that made this process so much faster for me than what it usually is. If you're interested in a more extensive guide on how to play or type soul content in general, comment down below what you would like to see and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on TikTok for more tips. As a fishbone hollow, you only need to know a few things. You can hold shift to sprint, press R to block break, left click to attack, B to eat, and you can hold F to block. Knowing how to time your blocks allows you to parry attacks, which in turn makes this process so much easier for you, but it's not required as a fishbone hollow. Moving on, the first thing you want to do is find and slay a minnows. You can just look around and find one. If you somehow can't find one, you can either server hop or go to the minnows forest. That location is inside the pit by the center of the map. When you find one and you're within its range, it's going to begin charging up a Cero. All you have to do is run away and get out of its range so that it misses. When you do that, the Cero is going to be on cooldown as you're charging with full health. Even though I was parrying some of the NPC's attacks, you'll see that I ended up losing regardless. That's 100% fine because NPCs do not regen health on their own. This means you can come back and attack the same minnows as many times as you need to. Once you defeat the minnows, it disperses into a bunch of black blocks. All you need to do is go inside of the black and press B to consume it. As soon as you do that, you'll instantly evolve into a minnow, so there's no need for you to attack another fishbone or hunt for all sorts of hollows. You're just going to be slaying one minnow. This process should take only about 2 to 5 minutes of your time. Now that you're finally a minnows, you're able to press Ctrl and K at the same time to become an adjuchar. However, if you're still interested in progressing to an adjuchas or a Vasto Lorde, you're going to need to equip your minnow serum. To do that, you want to open up your inventory, select the skill, select equip, and then attach it to one of the available keys shown on the left side of your screen. This is the easiest form to progress as a hollow. As a player minnows, it's very rare that anyone ever attacks you. The only thing you have to do at this point is slay another NPC minnows. You're not going to be able to sprint, block, dodge, or parry as a minnows, so when you are fighting, all you're supposed to do is Cero and stomp as soon as you can. NPC minnows don't have as much health as you, so you're guaranteed to win. This time, you won't have to press B to eat after slaying a minnows. You'll automatically evolve into one as soon as you slay the NPC. This process shouldn't take any more than 5 minutes of your time either. So now we can finally move on to the stage half of the player base who's up one, becoming a Vasto Lorde. If you want to give up now and become an adjuchar here as well, you can still press Ctrl and K at the same time. Otherwise, open your inventory and equip your new Cero for what we need to do next. At the top of your screen, you should see mask cracks and the number 0. If you don't, rejoin the game or switch servers so that you can see them. In order to become a Vasto, the first thing you need to do is reach 25 mask cracks. The easiest way to do that is by beating NPC adjuchas. They drop 2 masks when they're destroyed, and you don't need to eat them. There really is no reason for you to engage with or fight another player adjuchas right now. You'd only get up to 1 mask crack by slaying them. But there's also a chance of you getting none since it depends on how many they have. Anyways, to win against an adjuchas, you're really going to have to learn when to block. It's no longer like fighting another fishbone or a minnow. You're going to come across adjuchas that are constantly parrying your attacks, and if you're not able to do the same thing, then you're going to lose. Always start the fight off by using a Cero, and always use it as soon as it gets off cooldown. Other NPC hollows are often going to be around you, so if they are fishbones, I would recommend using them to your advantage. They'll attack whoever's closest to them instead of solely prioritizing you. You definitely still want to be careful because if you're not the one who gets the last hit on the adjuchas, then it doesn't count towards your mask cracks. Personally, what I do is allow the fishbone to get a few hits in before slaying that one first. That way, I don't have to risk not dealing the finishing blow. There may be times where actual player adjuchas approach you to try stealing your NPC. I would recommend leaving and just letting them take it if you aren't confident in beating them. My next tip would be for you to always keep an eye on your surroundings. When you're hunting for other adjuchas, when you're fighting them, and even when you spawn in. The developers have made it so much easier to progress as a hollow, but something they can't control are the players in your server. If I have clips from one of my previous experiences as an adjuchas, I'll leave it here for you guys to see. 90% of type soul players really are on demon time. What I mean by that is, they won't only attack you because they're trying to help someone else, They'll attack you just because they can. There are members of your own race that look forward to ruining your progress or seeing you beg to be spared. But this brings me to my next tip. If you see a player running your way, leave the server. If you hear the audio cue for Blossom Cut, leave the server. If you feel like someone is getting ready to listen to their intrusive thoughts, just leave the server. Even if you feel like someone is looking at you funny, just leave the server. But when you do leave, don't close out of Roblox, don't turn your computer off, none of that. What you need to do is use the server list. Even though it's not as quick as your other options in leaving, it's still less of a risk if you accidentally combat log. As an adjuchas, you lose mass cracks if you've been slain, but the penalty of combat logging is usually much greater than getting beaten. Since I'm on the topic, it's also important I mention that one of the things I've learned is that even though you've gotten hit as an adjutant, you're not always put in combat. I'm not sure if this means you can only get put in combat if you have a certain amount of mass cracks or if a specific player hits you. It could even just be a bug that has yet to be patched. Regardless, if you're not in combat, that means you're able to server hop using the server list. This does not mean you should engage with other players. As I just said, I don't know what triggers you being combat tagged as an adjutant, so don't screw yourself by relying on not getting combat tagged. Even if you get hit by someone and you don't get combat tagged, that doesn't mean something else won't hit you and also have the same effect. If someone does put you in combat, you're going to be unable to use the server list, so just do whatever you can to get out of the situation. If that means you need to fight, run, beg, or whatever, then that's fine. It's whatever works for you. I think one of the main things that made this process so much easier for me was server hopping in general. Instead of wandering around the map for 5 to 10 minutes until I found the NPC I wanted, I just moved over to a completely different server. I ended up moving to high ground so that it's easier for me to see the map and scan for adjectives. If you still don't see any, just repeat the same steps. I think this process can be pretty tedious, but it's better to do that than spend several hours collecting mass cracks. Another tip, don't ask people you don't know for help. If someone wants to help you, trust me when I say they will go out of their way to do just that. It's not worth potentially being attacked, especially when you're better off using the server hopping method. If they helped you get one mass or protected you from someone and now they're suddenly fighting or getting jumped by other players, mind your business. Don't help them and risk putting a target on your back, just server hop. There's no such thing as a favor for favor when you're an adjutant, and I'm sure they understand that too. A lot of people are also under the impression that you have to eat another adjective for it to count as a mass crack. But like I said earlier, it strictly depends on who gets the last hit on the NPC. Now that you've gotten your 25 mass cracks, you should start hearing whispers and seeing all kinds of messages fly across your screen. You'll also be in albino adjectives after rejoining. This means you're ready for the final step. There are two different methods you can do to become a Vasto Lord at this point. The first method is by finding and defeating your Vasto boss. It can take about 40 minutes for you to find this NPC, or it could even take you 1 minute. Everyone's luck is different, but if you are interested in this method, pay close attention to the colored lines coming out of you at random times. These lines actually guide you to different spawn points for the Vasto boss, so choose only one color to follow. You're able to choose this fight by jumping on top of one of the mountains in case you need to heal. As long as you know how to parry, there's not going to be a need for that. The developers recently reduced the health of the Vasto boss, so you're pretty much fighting another NPC adjutant that happens to do more damage. The Vasto boss can't be hit by other players and you can't be healed, however you can still be attacked by others, so choose your boss's location wisely. The second method is slaying another albino adjutant player. I've always heard that it has to be a complete 1v1 or it won't count, but I'm not sure how true that is. I do know lose to the player or the boss, you will get deranked back to minnows, or at the very least lose all of your mass cracks. If you're not good at the game or if you're not confident, you could also cheese this method by grinding up another albino adjutant and then feeding it to your main slot. If you are interested in doing this without cheesing, here's another very important tip. You only become an albino adjutant when you rejoin the game after 25 mass cracks. This means there could be players in your server that are random colors like brown or red, but they're still considered albino by the game's script. I ended up coming across a player like this, but unfortunately I stopped recording, so I can't show y'all how I won. Now that you're a Vasto Lord, this is the part where you should press Ctrl and K at the same time. When you become a Vastocar, you're only one step short of getting Brand Race 0 and becoming a true Vasto Lord. Let's say you already chose to stop your hollow progression and became an Arakar before becoming a Vasto Lord. If you don't want to use a soul ticket to wipe yourself, or if you don't want to use another slot to start over, that's okay. In that case, the next step for you would be to gather 7 Hogyoku fragments, and once you use them all at once, you'll evolve into a vastocar. In case you're unsure on how to get Hogyoku fragments or you somehow keep losing them, I'll explain how the process works in another video soon. Turn the post notifications on for my YouTube channel and follow me on TikTok to see that as soon as I upload it. Good luck with the grind.